Ever wonder what's really going on in a story? I mean, beyond the plot and the dialogue. Today, we're diving into psychoanalytic criticism to unlock the secret life of stories, looking deep into the minds of the characters, and maybe even the authors themselves. So think about this for a second. We see what characters do, we hear what they say, but what's driving them from deep down? What are the fears and desires they can't or won't even admit to themselves? Well, that's where psychoanalytic criticism comes in. It gives us the tools to play detective and uncover those secrets. To really get it, we have to go back to the beginning, to psychoanalysis itself. This was Sigmund Freud's baby. It started as a form of therapy, a way to understand the human mind by exploring everything that's bubbling up just below the surface of our awareness. Now, here's where it gets really cool for us. Psychoanalytic criticism takes those same tools from the therapist's office and applies them to literature. We're not trying to diagnose Hamlet or anything, but we are using these ideas to interpret his hidden motivations and deepest conflicts. And that's the whole point, really. Just like a therapist helps someone uncover things they've buried, a psychoanalytic critic tries to find a story's repressed secrets. It's all about bringing those hidden fears and internal battles out into the open for us to see. So, how do we even begin to find what's hidden? For that, we need a map of the mind, and Freud's most famous metaphor for this is the mental iceberg. Just look at this thing. The tiny little tip that you can see above the water, that's our conscious mind, our thoughts and perceptions. But the massive, gigantic part hidden underneath, that's the unconscious. And Freud believed that's where the real action is. Our deep-seated fears, our darkest wishes, all the stuff we don't want to admit is there. Okay, so if it's all hidden, how do you get to it? Well, Freud famously said that our dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. He thought dreams were packed with symbols that, if you could just decode them, would reveal our most repressed desires. And here is the genius connection to what we're talking about. Freud saw literature, poems, plays, novels, as being a kind of daydream. They're these symbolic fantasies full of wish fulfillment, just waiting for someone to come along and decode them. So, inside this mind of ours, it's not exactly a peaceful place. Freud proposed that there are three competing forces constantly at war with each other. You can almost think of them as three distinct voices arguing over our every move. First up, you've got the id. This is our most primal, instinctual self. It's the toddler inside all of us, screaming, "I want it and I want it now." The id only cares about one thing, immediate gratification for all our urges. It runs on what Freud called the pleasure principle. Then, on the complete opposite side, you have the superego. This is our conscience, our inner critic. It's the voice of our parents, our teachers, and society, constantly telling us what we should and shouldn't do. It's all about morality and perfection. And who's stuck in the middle, playing referee? That's the ego. The ego is the logical part of our brain. Its entire job is to balance the impulsive demands of the id with the strict moral rules of the superego, all while trying to deal with the realities of the actual world. It's the one that has to make the final decision. I mean, this image just nails it, doesn't it? You've got the id yelling, "Eat now," and the superego wagging its finger saying, "You're at a meeting." And the poor ego is just trying to find some kind of compromise. This constant internal tug of war is what shapes a character's every thought and action. So, what happens when that internal battle gets a little too intense? Well, that's when the cracks start to show. And for a literary critic, that's where the real fun begins. When the fight between the id and the superego creates way too much anxiety, the ego gets overwhelmed. It needs to protect itself. And to do that, it deploys a whole set of psychological shields called defense mechanisms. And you'll totally recognize these. There's denial, which is just refusing to believe something is true. Displacement is when you get angry at your boss, but you go home and yell at your family. And projection, that's when you accuse someone else of having the exact feelings you're actually having. Characters in books and movies do this stuff all the time. And this is where it gets really insightful. By paying attention to which defenses a character uses over and over, we can start to figure out what their core issues are. You know, the deep psychological wounds that are actually driving their behavior, like a profound fear of being abandoned or a secret sense of worthlessness. Okay, enough theory. Let's put this all into practice with one of the most famous and controversial literary analyses of all time, Freud's take on Shakespeare's Hamlet. First, we need a little backstory on the Oedipus complex. It's named after the Greek myth of Oedipus, who gets a terrible prophecy that he'll kill his father and marry his mother. He does everything he can to escape his fate, but in a tragic twist of irony, he ends up doing exactly that, without even realizing it. So here's the key difference Freud pointed out. Oedipus acts. He unknowingly carries out his unconscious desire to replace his father. But Hamlet? He does the opposite. He hesitates. He can't bring himself to act. And the big question is, why? Well, Freud's wild argument was this. Hamlet can't take revenge on his uncle Claudius because Claudius has already done the very thing that Hamlet unconsciously wanted to do himself, kill his father and take his place with his mother. To punish Claudius would be, in a weird way, to punish himself for his own repressed desires. And this is the huge aha moment. Suddenly, Hamlet's famous procrastination isn't just a character flaw. It's not simple indecision. It's a symptom. It's the outward sign of a massive, deeply repressed psychological battle raging within him. So just to wrap it up, a psychoanalytic critic can use these tools in a few different ways. They might look at the author's psychology, they might dive deep into a character's motivations like we just did with Hamlet, or they can treat the whole text like a dream and decode its hidden symbols. So I'll leave you with this challenge. The next time you're watching a movie or reading a book, try to look past the surface plot. What anxieties are the characters hiding? What defense mechanisms are they using? What deeply repressed fears are really driving the story? You might just be amazed by the secrets you find.